What's up? Welcome
Hello.
back to High Strangeness. I am the Strangeness, and he is the High,
I'm
as you
not high.
already know.
I'm not high at all
Today's,
right now.
we already know the truth.
There's no
Anyways,
evidence.
today's topics that we're going to be covering will be a case file discussion on the barn grounds. What are dark occultists really trying to achieve? What is a black Nexion? Was H.P. Lovecraft onto something? And can a black magician defeat a white magician if playing on the same level?
Yes. Yes, absolutely they can. But that's for later.
A bump in the night, a ferocious fright. You grab your oracle cards, the Ouija board, and knock at the door. You've heard this before. Welcome to High Strangeness with your host, Sadhu Dam and Sifu Aman Berry, diving into all subjects spiritual, paranormal, metaphysical, answering questions from students and listeners, and providing expert discussions on varying topics pertaining to high strangeness.
On my very first case, how I actually met Amun was like a decade ago, something like
It was a
this.
fucking decade ago now. Jesus.
Crazy, man. It's crazy how much time has passed. I know. In Washington State, it's a well-known area for one being spoiled native land that the natives themselves refused to bury their dead upon. There was a lobotomy testing psychiatric hospital at the time that saw many horrific procedures. It's now a Gary Job Corps, which has children with all kinds of problems, from mental issues to traumatic backgrounds. I mean, this place has been plagued with just naughtiness after naughtiness as far as ritual activities, occult happenings, summonings, etc., etc. Nothing good has really come of this place since the get-go. When we first got to the barn grounds, I was with a investigative team at the time, and we did an investigation that's been covered in some other podcasts I've been on, and I'll give you a shortened version of the story. We found a totem in an area inside burned down rafters at the top of an old decrepit barn on the grounds, and was surrounded by what I found out later to be Crowlinian writings and symbols. What happened after I took the totem, which, of course, had I known now what I know, I would have destroyed it and not kept it as a little fetish trophy. But a woman got possessed, and the possession that entailed was something out of a horror movie, something that people would simply not believe without being there. Some of the phenomena I will just briefly describe: her neck turning a full 360 degrees, her face contorting and morphing, eyes completely glossing black over and wider than is physically possible for the ocular structure of the face. My least favorite, the crab walking up the wall, like you've seen in horror movies, ladies and gentlemen. That actually happened when we tried to get her help. She was in a possessed state and tried to crash the car. So that happened. Then there was also trying to put a silver cross on her and seeing welts and actual steam coming off the skin, physical burn happening live time just from silver touching her. And then, of course, there was the hospitalization where Amun ended up helping her, and this resolved the case. But right before that, she tossed four full-grown, and I'm talking about a girl that was like 100 pounds soaking wet, tossed four full-grown male cops against a wall with one arm each like it was nothing.
This is some of the stuff that we don't really talk about too much, you know? I've kind of become like really, really hardened and numb in some ways. For those involved in this one was pretty severe. This one wasn't great. In retrospect, if I like the me now would not have acted like the me then, in some regards, about how I turned it into a learning experience. That probably was a little bit, yeah, me now would have handled it a bit different. That being said, it was a learning experience for everyone involved. And at the end of the day, that person's okay now.
We've seen some truly horrifying things along the way. I mean, there was the woman in Kansas who ended up killing her daughter in a ritual possessed state. There was also the ghost cat, where a woman was forced, manipulated through internal oppression into ODing inside of a haunted house. I mean, we've seen some really bad stuff since then. But as far as phenomena, why
We can
such
talk
a
about
high level of phenomena in
that.
this
Okay.
specific
Okay,
case,
that's a good
my
question.
first case?
That's a good question. Shitty karma. No, but you like to dive in the deep end without knowing how to swim at all, which actually is something I kind of respect about you, which is why I helped you out that time. It was kind of the perfect storm, right? We're not going to use any names, but that person who was possessed, there were some emotional issues happening that made instant possession very much easier. There were some factors going on that allowed instant possession to take. She also was wide open and she actually was the one that put the talisman on her body, right, skin to skin contact. In that instance, yeah, instant possession would happen, which allowed them to skip the traditional stages of 1, 2, and 3. Right, it went straight to 3, and it was a stage of, I would say, it was somewhat beyond overshadowing. So because of the high stage of where it came in, that's why there was so much phenomena. You were already just shy of integration.
Whenever I came across people already in stage 2 or experiencing heightened phenomena, that because of how I approached it, we never saw something on this scale again as far as phenomena.
If you remember right, I was abusive to you in learning that lesson. And I drilled that lesson into you harder than I have any other student. Like, the reason we get such success and the reason that even now I'm able to handle very high level cases remotely from here in my office is that I know how to cut. It's like martial arts. If you see them telegraph a giant punch, you see a lot you can do right here prior to the punch becoming here. It feels like the same thing. I see their moves coming a mile away now.
I wasn't seeing any punches because I was such a lightweight greenhorn newbie. It just came as a flurry.
You got your ass kicked. It's very hard for me to justify my actions to myself now, if I'm being honest, because I've come so far from who I am as a person.
At this point, we've both periodically throughout the years gone back to the barn grounds.
Sure.
And done what we could to cleanse it.
Yeah.
And I think this is a fair point to make for a lot of people who go out there trying to cleanse haunted places and things of this nature. If continued ritual activity is done on what is already considered unstable grounds,
right,
no matter how much healing work or positive blending and etc. that you add into the land, it's just going to continually be rewritten unless that phenomena and activity that's occurring there and happening stops.
Yes. So a situation like the barn grounds, Devil Towers, I think now has been demolished and cleansed, thanks largely to our efforts. So there are cases you can solve, and there are cases you can learn from. Most cases you can solve, most cases you can resolve, but some cases in the paranormal field, you won't be able to make phenomena go to the level you want. So what you have to do then is turn it into a scientific training ground. And that's what we've done with places like the barn grounds and other hauntings that we're both consulting on as well. It's been about containment and negation, knowing full well that it's not going to get the job done fully. It's like the hamster wheel.
The best that we can do is, if something urgent arises from that, like we've seen, and we won't talk about, but certain things that have happened over the years that involve that place, we just handle it then. But we focus on the cases that we can actually resolve, and we just leave this one as something that we check up on and maintain as best as possible. But we realistically understand that there's no amount of white light that's going to purify that land forever because of the actions that continue to be held there.
Right. And same thing with certain high-level diabolical entities. It's very easy to get disheartened, but what you have to remember is, like, something's a lot better than nothing. We've taken gunfire at the barn grounds. Like the barn grounds isn't the best place in the world, you know?
I remember getting chased by those little Black Order occultists shooting at me and Kyle, and yeah, it wasn't such a great experience.
Were you there when I got shot at too? Or was that a different time?
Might have been a different time. I mean, I
Okay.
know that they hung out there for a while.
I got
That
shot
was
at
kind of
once.
like their place for an area. That area was their place for a while.
Yeah, I don't think they're there as much anymore. It's kind of turned into a more like a civilian frisbee place.
Disc golf.
Okay.
What are dark occultists really trying to achieve? Now, I think that's a little bit of too broad a statement, because when we're talking about Noctulians and Ona and these different higher level groups that are classified by many governments as terrorist organizations, these people seem to be wanting to become a master race of sorts and wanting to subjectify the rest of humanity, and essentially the old classic of sell your soul, but on a much darker level. Then you have some that are power tripping and are really more or less an entity's bitch, but think that they're commanding something greater. And then you have people that are more surgical, they're experimenting. But overall, if you were going to sum this up, what would you say in a rather simplified way? What are dark occultists
How
trying to
simple?
achieve?
How simple? This is not simple. This is not a
Simple
simple
as you
topic.
want, baby.
Dark cults are real, but they're not what you think they are. Okay? If you hear about them on Instagram threatening to do anything at all, that's not the real deal. If they're in any way public, that's not the real deal. I don't really generally even waste my time caring like about those types. I only really care about the ones that were mentioned previously. I don't even really want to mention their names, to be honest. Not because of some fear of vibrational resonance. I just, it doesn't bring up a good feeling in my body.